Well, hello folks. Another fine evening here in the safest city in the world, sunny Glasgow. And I'll just wait a couple of minutes and give people a chance to show up, you know. Enjoy the scenery. Alright, I really don't want to go pointing the phone in people's faces, you know. I mean, I'm not one of those auditors, I'm just a guy out walking here, you know. So if you see me pointing at the ground, I'm probably going past somebody. It's there's plenty of other channels who do the whole pointing the camera in people's faces routine, but this is not one of them. All right, so I'll wait till I'm past this wee part here, and then we shall begin. So tonight's all about predictions, you know, and I'm going to be predicting when the AI bubble bursts. And in fact, more than just a prediction, I'm going to be giving you the full mechanism that I believe is going to lead up to this. And then I'm going to explain, or mansplain if you like, why it's actually a good thing, believe it or not. It's a very good thing, actually. So that's what we're going to be discussing here. I'll just wait until I've maybe just walked past this little part. We've got a nice clock tower up here. Maybe we'll start there, you know. So to give you a little hello there. Is that the I can't read it. The font is too small. It looked like it said the idiot programmer, but surely it never said that. We won't tolerate self-deprecation here. No way. The genius programmer is a bit more like it. All right. So, I think we can just about begin. And let me lay this on you. So I happen to think that September 9th, 2026 is the date when the AI bubble bursts. Of course, I don't have a crystal ball. It's just a little prediction. I may be, as Johnny Rotten says, could be wrong, could be right. But that's the date I'm putting on this. And I'm going to outline exactly and precisely how I get to that date and how the AI bubble busting is inevitable and what that means. And it's actually really good news. Really good news. Might even be the best news. So, last night, I finally got a chance to try one of those all bells and whistles text editors. I mean the ones that have got full AI integration. We're not talking about the prompt windows here, whereby, you know, you type in something on a website and it gives you an answer and you copy and paste. We're talking about the full whatever. There's a little bit of activity around here tonight. Oh well. It's a goddamn madhouse. You know the secret of walking about a rough neighbourhood? You just say to yourself, I am the most dangerous guy here. That's it. Anyway, I'm not really, but don't tell them. So as I was saying, I finally got a chance to try one of those AI editor things. And this is the ones that can actually go into your files and write them. They can create folders, edit, delete folders. They can even run code, in fact. And they can do everything. And I stayed up with it until 4:30 in the morning. So I think I had a really good shot. I reckon I was messing about with this for about 8.5 hours. And the upshot of it is, I came into it looking for a business model, and the only business model I can see is the guy or the business that helps clean up the mess that's being left by these, I don't know what to call them, AI wrecking balls. Folks, the fact of the matter is, the technology does not work. Now, let me add some nuance here, because I've just spent a lot of time working on a framework and making it AI friendly. Let me just clarify something. There's a whole lot of nuance here. To say that AI is good or bad or it's going to fail, it's as ridiculous as saying food is good or bad. Just yesterday I was watching another one of those Star Wars fan videos, you know, and it was really, really great. I mean, the graphics and everything, the voices, everything. Certainly, as far as I can tell, it was just about perfect. And that's AI, and it's amazing. I also think that there's a lot of value in heading to a site like ChatGPT or Claude, typing something into a prompt, and it spits it out and you copy and paste it in your code. I've done that for a long time, and some of you have. And I actually think that that can be extremely helpful. I mean, Trongate MX, a JavaScript library that I made, that was almost entirely made by just chatting to Claude, you know? So stuff like that does have value. I'm not writing off the whole field of AI. But the trouble is that the idea of going to a website, typing in a prompt, you know, can you help me with blah, blah, blah? And the thing spits it out and you copy and paste it. Well, let's face it, folks, that is just far too uncool for all those soy developers. You know the ones I mean. And already on YouTube I've seen a lot of very well-known people in the web development space saying, if you're not using this, you're falling behind. And what are they talking about? They're talking about the text editor integration. Visualize a text editor with a panel on the right hand side, maybe even a panel on the left, and they're chatting, and you type something in, and what do you know, it starts messing about with your code. This is the thing. This is the thing that everybody's into. It's something that has been around for a while actually, but really got traction at the end of last year. And I can tell you that this week, 4 developers that I know have said to me individually, hey, I've got it integrated with the text editor now. Wow, 4. So I checked it out, and you're probably wondering what could go wrong. Well, I find myself at a conversational crossroads. Do I talk about the miserable 8.5 hours and all of the faults that happened and how it kept making stupid mistakes and how it kept writing tons of JavaScript, tons of custom CSS, all sorts of things I never wanted, and how the thing ultimately never even did 10% of what I had asked for? Or how about a nice analogy? I think we'll do that. So think about web development in terms of production. If you are a professional web developer, it's a bit like being the owner of a car factory. And web applications are the thing that you produce. And by the way, I've been in this game a long time and I know what I'm talking about. So let's imagine you're the owner of a factory that manufactures cars, right? And one day somebody comes up to you, a salesman, and says, you know how you've got that production line and there's robots and what have you? Well, here's one that's going to be 20 times faster than the things you've already got. So you are going to be able to build cars 20 times faster if you change to this robot or this production method. And by the way, not only are you going to be 20 times faster, but the cars that you build are going to be more fuel efficient and they're going to have better acceleration and a better top speed. Do you want to buy? Well, it's a pretty good sales pitch, right? And it's pretty much the sales pitch. I think it's a good comparison to the sales pitch that we get from a lot of the AI-driven text editors, actually. The trouble is, there's a little fly in the ointment, is there not? You see, whilst the shiny new robot may be able to produce cars 20 times faster, they might be more fuel, more economical and all of that stuff. The trouble is that every 1 in 20 cars that it makes just explodes. Just explodes and nobody knows why. Oh, and one other thing. When this thing goes on the production line, it turns out that it never makes the same car twice. Every single time it makes a car, you don't really know what shape the car's going to be. You don't know if you're going to get round headlights or square. You don't even know for sure whether you'll get a petrol engine, a diesel, a hybrid or something else. You have no clue. So how do you feel about this thing now, Mr. Factory Owner? Do you want to buy? Well, of course, nobody in their right mind would want to buy such a thing. And so, one of the fundamental problems, and you notice it from a sort of teaching perspective, is that these AI assistants are, let's just say, they're trafficking in something that is unteachable. So here's an example. On YouTube, I have a series somewhere, how to build an online shop. And it's 130 videos, right? It's more than 130 videos. And it's a whole lot of videos. But I can say for a fact that if somebody starts at video 1 and they go all the way through that, I think it's 134 or 135 videos. Some of them are 40 minutes long, by the way. But if somebody's crazy enough to go through all of that stuff, then at the very end of the road, they're gonna get a beautiful online shop. And I know exactly what it looks like to the pixel. I know how the payment gateways work. I know the picture sizes. I know how passwords are being hashed. I know every detail of it. I know how big the thumbnails are. It's all there. And all you have to do is follow the recipe and you get an online shop, right? But imagine a classroom where you're trying to teach that. Maybe, let's just say, to a group of 30 people. And by the way, I'm lost. I'm legitimately lost here. Anyway, let's imagine you're trying to teach this to a group of, let's say 20 people in a classroom. And you're going to teach them how to build an online shop, but this time you're going to use the agent method. In your mind, just picture how that's going to look, and I apologise for being slightly out of breath. Imagine how that's going to look. You're going to say in the classroom, as they all sit at their laptops, you're going to say, okay, open up your thing. And please type in, everybody, can you design a homepage for this online shop? And every single person in the room is going to get a different homepage. And then you're going to say, now ask it for, let's say, a form for adding items. And everybody's going to get a different form. Even if you say, I want these form fields. I want item price, description. I want this, that, whatever. Shipping, you name it. It doesn't matter. You're still going to have 20 people with 20 solutions. Some of them will use JavaScript, some of them won't. Some of them will use things like Tailwind. It's going to be all over the place. And then by the time you get deep into that application, the stuff that is now being produced in that classroom, well, you're not going to have 20 online shops that all look beautiful and all do certain things and behave a certain way. You're going to have chaos. And so, the very concept of teaching something, whatever it may be, is based around the idea that a person knows how to do something. Let's say, you know, how to bake the perfect souffle or something. And if that person then goes to somebody else and says, here's the steps, you do this, 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 people should be able to follow that and reproduce it exactly. And where these AI systems fail, ultimately, is that the process I've just described, which is as old as humanity itself, does not work with these AI systems. You can spend as much time as you want with them. You can train them. Heaven knows I've spent a lot of time working on a simple framework that's AI friendly. You can do all of that stuff as diligently as you like, and you can get very powerful computers and everything. But one day you'll go in there and it's going to produce utter unusable garbage. But even on a good day, you're never going to get the same thing appearing twice. There's too much variation. Nobody understands it. Nobody knows how to solve it. Hallucinations are real, and it's a huge, huge problem. So let me, having now given you the fundamental problems with the AI stuff, I'll move on to phase 2, which is telling you exactly how this is going to play out and how the whole AI bubble is going to burst and what that means. So, imagine, let's just imagine some young gun who's just out of college. We'll call him George. And George is probably about 22 years old. And I'm not having anything against young people, God bless them all. It's just that to a lot of employers, young people are easy to manipulate and to mold, you know. So they're attractive to employers for that reason, right? There's nothing against young people. But somewhere out there, there is a George who has figured out how to use tools like ChatGPT, Claude and so on to build CVs that are far better than anything you, I or anybody watching this could reasonably produce. It's true. And I am very lost here. Oh, just a little interjection. I was approached by somebody in the street a while ago, a couple of years ago, and I'm sure he had a knife on him because he looked like a dwarf. And he was like, "How are you?" And he chased me and he was like, "What are you looking at?" It was this street here. So who knows, maybe we'll have a little drama. I doubt it though. Anyway, somewhere out there, there is that little college graduate guy who's figured this stuff out and knows how to produce beautiful CVs and letters that are targeted for particular jobs, and they're perfect. And when you look at the CV, there's even a link to a portfolio page, and when you look on that, you see all of these beautiful designs. And of course, they're all being generated from AI, maybe a little help from Template Monster. But recruiters, employers, they've got no chance. When I had a web development agency, I advertised for the position of web developer and had over 800 responses. I mean, I don't care how well intentioned you are, that's virtually impossible to keep on top of. So, what's going to happen is, well, it's already happened. Legion of young, aspiring, let's just say, college graduate types who have perfected this stuff and have flooded the jobs market. And if they show up at an interview, and if somebody like you shows up at an interview, or me, they're going to get hired. They're going to get hired because everything about them is exquisite. They are younger, they are malleable, I think that's the word, enthusiastic, energized, and they're not as cynical as somebody like me, let's say. So they're going to get hired. And I believe that this has already happened. And I don't want to go attacking anybody or naming people that are not here, but in the past, I've had some fairly impressive clients, you know, and I can see exactly how this is going to play out, especially with some of these bigger companies like JP Morgan, IBM, and so on, companies that are heavily invested in IT, not necessarily AI, IT. So this is the whole finance sector. It's pretty much anywhere where there's an office with developers And here's what's going to happen. Pay close attention. You're going to find that our young gun, I think we called him George, day one, he's going to be given a desk, he's going to set up. The manager's going to look over his shoulder and say, how are you getting on? Have you settled in? And the manager's going to look at that table, the desktop even. And the manager's going to see a really sophisticated text area with all sorts of panels everywhere, little icons, and there's going to be a kind of monotone vibe going on. Black text, white font, hardcore. The kind of system that would not look out of place in a sci-fi movie. And when the manager asks, how are you getting on? Little George is going to say, just fine. And he's going to smile. And everything will be fine. And then the next day, the manager's going to turn up and say, hey George, how are you getting on today? And young George is going to say, hey, well, do you remember the proposal forms that you asked me to work on? Well, the good news is I've got this proposal form here and it looks great. Young George is going to click on that screen. There's going to be a big form. And the guy's going to say, wow. And it's got address details and previous employers and bank details. It's all there. And it's going to be really, really impressive. And on the screen, there's going to be a button that says generate PDF. And the manager is going to say, is that going to generate a PDF? Like, you know, when it's finished. And young George is going to smile and he's going to say, man, you have nothing to worry about, watch. And he's going to click on that PDF, that little icon, and right there, that very moment, a beautiful PDF is going to be generated with a logo, perfect layout and everything. And the two of them are going to smile. And the manager's going to say, do you know, it took our last IT guy 6 months to achieve what you've just achieved in 2 days? And George is going to say, well, what can I tell you? I'm glad you found me. Congratulations. And everything is going to be fantastic. And every time that manager turns his back, George is going to be on to his little integrated AI assistant and saying, can you add this? Can you add that? And can you add this? And every time he does that, that little AI assistant is going to go tinkering away and changing files here, there and everywhere and going deeper and deeper into a rabbit hole. One day, probably about 3 months into this process, that manager's going to say, hey George, I hope you had a good weekend. Did you watch the ball game? Because that's the type of relationship they'll have by this point. And everything's going to be nice and friendly. But the manager guy is going to say, listen, have you any idea when we're actually going to have this system uploaded? And that right there is the moment when everything's going to fall apart at the seams. And George is going to say, well, hang on, I've only been here for 3 months. I mean, you know, the last system you got, that toilet paper, well, that thing took 2 years. I've only been here 3 months, you know, let's be realistic. And the manager's going to say, well, fair enough, but could you at least upload what you've done, something, so I can just play around with it in my house? George is going to say, no problem. Now, for George, it's going to be a very unpleasant couple of days. But he'll figure it out. And in a couple of days' time, he'll say to the manager, well, I managed to upload a sandboxed version or whatever. And the manager's going to say, yeah, where is it? And young George will say, it's at blankety blank .com. Head on there and you can play around. Username's admin, password's admin. The manager's going to say thanks. Now the manager's going to obviously look at this thing, see the nice forms and all that. And the manager's going to say, okay, I get that, there's a nice form. And the manager's going to say, can you show me how to edit a form? And George is going to say, well, I haven't built that yet. And then the manager's going to say, can you show me how I assign an organisation to a form? I mean, you can assign a person to a form, but what if it's an organisation? We do business organisations, right, as well as people. How do you do that? And George is going to say, well, I'll be moving on to that soon. And then, I won't keep you here all night, but over the next 3 months, it's going to become more and more apparent that the thing that has actually been built is utter dog shit. It's unusable, it's unfixable, and it really is a rat's maze of spaghetti code that no human being can understand. And there's no versioning system that will be able to solve this. There's not even a developer on earth who'd be able to go through this code and fix it. Because I've looked at the type of code that's produced, and it's genius level bad. Genius level. What do I mean by that? Well, last night, for example, I had a modal window, so a little pop-up window with a form. And I just noticed by accident, pretty much, I opened the inspector, and I noticed that every time I opened this modal window, it was doing 2 console log statements. Not 1, 2. A lot of people would have turned a blind eye to that, but I looked into it. And it turns out that when you opened the modal window with the form, it was actually generating 2 of them. And they were appearing on the screen at exactly the same time, one in front of the other. And you'd never even know. These are the types of errors that we're talking about. And I don't want to brag too much, but for a long time I was top 3 in Google for the phrase website repairs. This was before it went all regional. I reckon I've fixed about 2,000 sites over the years. And the types of errors that I'm seeing here from this AI generated stuff, these are entirely unfixable. Trust me when I say this. And so what's going to happen is, the period for the first 3 months, honeymoon. From 3 months to 6 months, oh shit. And they're going to go deeper and deeper and deeper into this rabbit hole. The relationship between that manager and our imaginary young employee, that relationship is going to go down the toilet. And eventually, there's going to be an ultimatum. I need this thing launched on Friday. Nothing's going to get launched. Nothing's going to get done. And as for the young aspiring developer, God bless him. He's either going to leave or he's going to get fired. One or the other. He's probably going to get fired. Now, because IT managers are mostly not the sharpest tools in the toolbox, they're not going to realise that it was the crappy AI system. And they're going to blame young George. They're going to say, oh, he was a bad one, him. And they're going to get a new IT person and a new developer. And the new developer's going to take one look at the code that was produced. And that new developer, being very well intentioned, is going to say, look, this code is unfixable. It's really, really bad. And your best bet is just to start again. Now, when the manager hears this, he's going to almost have a heart attack. But the new developer's going to say, look, trust me, it's really, really bad. And it's a shame that you went through this, but you're just going to have to go back to square one. The good news is, I think I can get you to where you wanted to be in 3 months' time. This is what's going to happen. And for that next 3 months period, everybody's going to be demonising the first guy, blaming him. And the next guy's going to be the greatest thing ever. But of course, you know what's going to happen, don't you? That's right. The entire cycle is just going to repeat. Because the next guy will be using this same crap, the same broken technologies. Eventually, the cycle of death that the first developer went through is exactly what the second developer is going to go through. Knowing what I know about the various places I've been to and the actually thousands of apps I've worked on, it's probably going to take, I reckon, 3 months before the manager realises that the second one's not doing any better. And we've really got a big problem here. So when that happens, there's going to be more ultimatums, more relationship breakdowns, more aggravation, and the second developer is going to go one way or another. When that happens, the manager himself or herself will be the one who's going on to the chopping block. That manager is going to be called to deal with the boardroom, the shareholders, the CEOs, you know, owner of the company, that type of level. And they're going to say, what the heck is going on? You've been working on this system now for a full year and you have produced nothing. The accounts department are drowning. The proposals department cannot get anything out. We have customers who ordered products 18 months ago and they're now threatening legal action. And there's somebody just the other day said he's going to go to the newspapers. He ordered this thing and it never arrived. What are you going to do? And there's going to be a beautiful moment. I reckon it'll take, well, actually, I'm giving you a very exact prediction and time frame. The sequence that I'm talking about is going to take approximately 9 months from the point of George arriving. But remember, the process started before that, really. It started at the point when they advertised for the job. So the upshot of it is, there's going to be a beautiful oh shit moment when everybody realises that the one thing all of these crap developers have got in common is that they are using AI coding assistants. I'm not talking about they're going to Claude and typing in a prompt. I'm talking very specifically about a very specific type of AI rather, where you have it integrated with your text editor and it has the ability to change everything like a wrecking ball. And they're going to figure it out because I've figured it out. AI is brilliant if you use it properly. But this crap, where people just type something and it's integrated with a text editor and it does everything, this is IT suicide. And I'm telling you for a fact, the technology does not work. It's not reliable, it breaks stuff, and when it breaks stuff, the stuff cannot be fixed. That's gonna happen. My estimation is that when that moment of realization occurs And there are people a whole lot smarter than me who've figured this out, who've had decades studying the topic. And when people realise that there are actually severe limitations on LLMs, and indeed these limitations are unfixable, and when they realise that the car factory that promised everything and seems so amazing is actually incapable of producing two cars that look the same, well, that's not a factory. That is a business destroyer. That's what we're dealing with. And when the word gets out, it's going to spread like wildfire. I've done my little analysis based on the timelines that I'm looking at in terms of when these technologies came out, when the YouTubers started babbling on about them, etc. I believe that we are on course to having that incredible moment of clarity. I'm going to put a date of 9th September 2026. 9th of September, it's a Wednesday. Because by that point, little George will have been gone. He's already wasted time and money. Second developer's been and gone. It's not even clear if there will be a third developer. And that's the moment. That's the moment when all the hot air runs out, the rubber meets the road, and it is finished. Now, that's the timeline. Now you've heard it, and now you know. This timeline is not based on, OpenAI running out of money or anything. There's plenty of videos talking about that. I'm speaking to you from a kind of boots on the ground perspective. And back in the day, before the financial crash, I actually had a web development company. And I don't mean, a bedroom thing or something with virtual assistants. It wasn't some onlinejobs.ph thing. Although, coming to think of it, I did have a virtual assistant. But I actually had an office with bricks and windows and stuff, and desks and chairs. And there were people who worked there. Employees. I even had a nice car and everything. And the office was in Union Street. And I can honestly say to you that if I was in that position today, running a web development agency right now, the very first thing I would do is I'd put a big notice on the wall, and I'd have it framed, probably in a golden frame. And the notice would say, if you use AI tools that are integrated with your text editor, you get fired on the spot. I would put that on a sign, and I'd have it right there in the middle of the office. If you get caught using this stuff, you get fired on the spot. No questions, nothing. And I'd have it made clear at the interview stage. I'm warning you, if I find that you're doing this, you're out. Now, again, to be clear, I'm talking about a very specific type of AI usage. I'm not talking about somebody who goes to ChatGPT, types something in and copies and pastes the code. I'm talking about the wrecking ball. The thing that has access to your full kind of file system. The thing that can just edit stuff in folders and execute stuff. That is a frigging wrecking ball. And I would be saying, anybody that uses that, you get fired. I might even fire myself if I use it. So now you've heard it. And now you know. And it's going to be just like that movie, The Big Short. One day, you're going to switch on the news, course, what does it look like when the bubble bursts? Well, you're going to switch on the news and you're going to see a headline that's like, shares in IBM dropped by 20% today. And that's huge, by the way. That's like massive, right? And when that happens, you're going to see a massive, it might not be IBM, by the way. There's a lot of people saying OpenAI is going down. I think OpenAI is an easy target. I don't think it's actually going to be limited to companies that are just heavily involved in AI. It's going to be any company that has decided to tether themselves to these tools. They're going to get whacked because of the mechanism I've just described. That mechanism is going to be playing out all over the planet Earth. Now, don't get me wrong, I like the Star Wars videos, those AI ones made by the fans. I love them all. But there's, that's chicken pellets. I'm talking about the stuff that makes the Western economy work. And there has been an entirely erroneous assumption, which is that we can get AI to automate all of the development. Well, it turns out you can't. Ain't that a news flash? And by the way, I'm not the only one to observe. I saw an interview with that guy, is his name Gary Marcus? And he was saying, have you noticed that all of the new versions of these different LLMs, they're all just a tiny little bit better than the previous version. It's now at the point where the new versions are pretty much indistinguishable. If we were tracking AI progress on a chart, we would be looking at, I believe, is it an inverse exponential curve they call it? I don't know if that's the right phrase. It's the one that goes up really steep and then levels off in a curve shape and then just goes on a flat line. And I believe that we are pretty much at the flat line now. It's done. Your best chance of solving hallucinations is me. It's me. Probably is. And I don't know if I can solve it. So that's what's going to happen. Now, of course, you're going to see the stock market go down and it's going to be kind of like the dot-com bubble busting. But it's actually not going to be the end of the earth. Civilization will survive, everything will be cool. And AI will survive. And when all is said and done, and when all the dust settles and everything continues in one way or another, the marketplace is going to have to come to terms with a truth that to some of us is beautiful, to others a nightmare. And the truth is that developers are extremely valuable in the marketplace. The marketplace assumed entirely erroneously that developers could be replaced. The marketplace was wrong, and it's going to be proven wrong quite thoroughly. When that happens, all of those genius managers, well, a lot of them will be fired actually, but those who are left, they're going to realise once bitten, twice shy. And they are going to be hiring developers like you wouldn't believe. And the salary for developers is going to go through the roof. I'm not talking about chancers. I'm not talking about soy devs. I'm talking about real engineers. The demand is going to be so high when everybody realises that the AI cannot replace them. And one of the things that is a huge source of optimism, I mentioned soy devs. The soy devs are absolutely loving this full AI integration that I'm talking about. I've spoken to a couple of them and they are so brainwashed. This is like Agile, except 400 times worse. Agile is, of course, poison, right? Well, it's like that. I've never seen brainwashing like it. And they cannot even contemplate the possibility that maybe there's a problem with these technologies. I can go into any room with developers in it and they'll say to me, I've got this working. Check what I built last night. Oh, look at this amazing thing that I made with AI. And you just ask them, what did you launch? I mean, what did you actually launch? You know, what product did you launch? Or how about this? What did you launch that's out there in the marketplace that people are now buying? Now, I'm sure there's a few examples here and there, but let's face it, those examples are rarer than people who have won the lottery. So nobody's making money with this stuff. It's all just spend. And now you've heard it. And now you know. So there we have it. And let me see if I can read the comments. I really struggle. I don't think I can, because the font's so small. Okay, oh gee. It can help to use MCP servers as it gives context. I can read that, something like that. I find myself prompting to do refactoring, etc. Okay, I read wee bits of it. I do a lot of... I can't read it, it's too short. My eyes can't do it. September 9th is your birthday, somebody says. Happy birthday. Cool. The font is so small on this phone, I just don't think I can read the comments. But hopefully everything will be cool. Yeah, as far as I can tell, the idiot programmer 100% as senior dev David is spot on in his assertions. Well, I can read that. Thank you. Really good points here. Something I've been thinking about for a while. Thank you. I can read that. Suddenly I can read. Is it because I've turned this way in the dark? I think the misunderstanding is that AI is sold as a magic bullet. Yeah. But it's evolution of IDE. We like Code Complete. LLM does it better, but introduces some chaos. You need to write. Well, that's just the problem, innit? It's the chaos factor. And like I say, for anybody who's I haven't got a very big audience here. So for anyone who doesn't get this, I'll distill the whole argument down to its most basic point imaginable, and keep this in your mind, right? Just imagine that a developer is, or even a web development agency, imagine it as a car factory. Think of it in terms of this, right? So if you are a developer, hello, you are the owner of a car factory. What AI is doing is it's a bit cold here, my lips don't work. AI is promising you a way of making your product many times faster, many times easier. You can have a really fast production line. The only problem is you're never going to get the same car come out twice. Actually, you're never going to have the same car come out once. Because in order to be the same, it has to be alike or the precise same as something else, right? But that's the problem. And not only is it unsolvable, I don't even think they've recognised that this is a problem. It's a huge problem. Go back to the teachability thing. How do you teach this to a classroom of people? If you're saying to the class, right, everybody type this in, and 20 people in the room are getting 20 different responses. Folks, that is chaos. It's uncontrollable, unmanageable chaos. I'll end this by saying, I think that there are very good uses for AI. I like to use AI, and I'm not saying that you should stop necessarily, but I would caution you against going all in, especially for the wrecking ball that I've just mentioned. But if you are going to go all in for that type of thing, then in the name of all things good, I would highly encourage you to get very, very serious about version control. That's all I've got. Thank you, and I hope you have a great evening. Bye.